What's up? What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel, Sports, Life and Politics TV. I'm Samuel Koppel, YouTube's #1 couch detective, and I'm here for the news. And here today, I'm going to be going over several clips that is happening around the nation and around the world. And in this first clip, I'm going to be going over is multiple officers killed while serving warrant in North Carolina. Now, they say there were 4 officers killed and 4 other officers shot and injured. The last time we had that many officers killed, I think it was Michael Johnson in Dallas, where police officers were completely outmaneuvered and outskilled by one gunman. Now, in this clip, one thing that I came to realize is that eventually, serving these arrest warrants and going to these houses, they're going to start using robots, because that's the same way they killed Michael Johnson. And with the death of these officers, it's a great way to usher in the use of robots. I remember growing up as a kid watching movies like RoboCop. And even back then, people were saying that's the future. But let's take a look at this first clip.
Good evening, I'm Laura O'Donnell, and thank you for being with us. We're going to begin with that breaking news: a deadly attack on federal and local law enforcement officers in Charlotte, North Carolina. As we come on the air, the FBI is now among multiple law enforcement agencies at the scene of a suburban home where 3 members of the U.S. Marshal Task Force were killed and 5 others injured while executing a fugitive warrant. We are just learning that arrest warrant was for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and 2 occupants of that house are now being questioned. There were reports that as many as 100 shots rang out in the neighborhood. This is the latest ambush attack on law enforcement officers.
And one thing else to ponder upon is that these officers, it takes a lot of manpower to take out one gunman. Look at all these cops for a single gunman. Imagine if this was citywide. Imagine if it was 8 different spots. They wouldn't have the manpower to handle all that. Luckily for them, people want to be ruled under certain laws and procedures where, we can live in peace. But the day that goes out the window, these officers, they're going to go straight home and try to protect their own family. If society ever breaks down and there's ever a time where it's us versus them or survival of the fittest, it's over. Yeah, because these guys aren't going to go and put their lives on the line for everybody. Being an officer is a tough job, especially serving warrants. That's super dangerous. Going into these people's house with all these different drugs now, people using the meth and fentanyl and trank and designer drugs and stuff. Some of the shit we ain't heard of yet. But, it's a tough job for these officers.
A similar incident last night in Kenner, Louisiana, where 3 officers were shot and survived. Chief investigative reporter Nick Oxner of our CBS affiliate WBTV will lead us off tonight from Charlotte.
Shots fired at officer, possibly 1 down. Subjects, correction, 2 down, subjects barricading themselves.
Just before 2 p.m., a U.S. Marshal's task force was attempting to serve a warrant in Charlotte, North Carolina, when at least 1 suspect inside the house opened fire.
Tragically, there were 3 members of the U.S. Marshal's Task Force who were pronounced deceased, and there were 4 CNPD officers who were shot, 1 being in critical condition, who is now in the hospital fighting for his life.
And one thing you always wonder, especially me as a person who covers the news and covers so many different mass shootings and police shootings and just shooting in general, is what kind of gun was it? Because that's always extremely important. When they tell you what kind of gun it was, sometimes to me that lets me know that something's a little fishy, something's a little rotten in Denmark. But if they just say a high-powered rifle, sometimes you don't know. When they say that, it could be an AR, because usually we know the mass shooter starter kit is an AR-15 or a pistol. But like I always said, there are so many different types of guns, especially high-powered rifles. It's ridiculous. I mean, just bolt action, and you have shotguns, you have AK-47s, you have the list of gun bullpups and just different type of rifles, but it's always the same rifle. So it's interesting to see when this actually comes out what kind of gun this actually was that they used. Because to kill 4 officers, that's not easy. I'm wondering in the back of my mind, were they outmaneuvered? Were they ambushed? Were they all in a single fine line? Were they in the house? Were they coming out the house? There's a lot of questions to be answered.
Officers, including SWAT teams, quickly responded and shut down the neighborhood, including nearby schools.
We were driving by, we heard about over 100 gunshots. It sounded like World War III.
Neighbor Tyler Wilson said,
No, brother, you ain't heard World War III yet. I'm pretty sure it sounds like a lot of shots, but yeah, I understand what he's saying. It's just that's a lot of shots in a residential neighborhood. Go back.
quickly responded and shut down the neighborhood, including nearby schools.
We were driving by, we heard about over 100 gunshots. It sounded like World War III.
Neighbor Tyler Wilson said the shootout lasted for 30 minutes.
There was shots ringing left and right. We had SWAT and U.S. Marshals set up snipers in our bedrooms. There was an officer who got drugged by his arms to our house.
Police say one suspect has been killed, and they are questioning 2 other people found inside the house.
Today we lost some heroes that are
They said one suspect has been killed and 2 others are being questioned. So the question is, was it multiple shooters or was it just one man shooting? You know, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. Let's hear it again.
Got drugged by his arms to our house.
Police say one suspect has been killed, and they are questioning 2 other people found inside the house.
Today we lost some heroes that are out to just simply trying to keep our community safe.
Today's shooting is the deadliest day for law enforcement since July 2016, when 5 Dallas police officers were shot and killed during a protest.
And I'll never forget that. That was one of the, that was a Navy SEAL, Green Beret, Army Ranger, Delta move that he pulled on that man, Michael Johnson did. So they say it was Michael Johnson. We don't know. There's so many wacky things going on in the world and so many things that we don't understand or we're not getting the full story. But in that clip where Michael Johnson shot the police officer downtown, he took 2 shots at one angle, distracted the police, made him back up, and came around the backside of him. Let's take a small look at it again. They ain't not gonna show the whole clip.
Simply trying to keep
You
our
kind of see him
community
taking the first 2
Today's
shots.
shooting is the deadliest day for law enforcement since July 2016, when 5 Dallas police officers were shot and killed.
Yeah, he came on one side, took the 2 shots, and went around the back of him.
Excluding today, 10 U.S. Marshals have been killed in the line of duty in the last 5 years. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper is en route to Charlotte as we speak. Nora?
Nick Oxner, thank you.
Well, don't be surprised here if Boston Institution, Texas Instruments, all these major companies that deal in robotics and all that shit, that's not put on the scene here very, very soon and introducing to the public, because they first introduced it with Michael Johnson. That's why the Michael Johnson clip was in there, if you ask me, because these officers are going into harm's way, into areas that they're not. I'm not saying they're not ready and trained, because obviously they're ready and trained, but a lot of times when you look at these officers are making terrible mistakes and are being completely outmaneuvered. I would love to know in this case exactly what happened, how they were able to shoot and kill 4 officers. Now I know people say, well, the bullets is traveling faster, but usually how you go about it, 4 officers coming in, we got shields, we move in a certain type of way, we moving, like the 300 or like what they call the Spartans, where you're moving in a certain position, and is a phalanx, I forgot the name of I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but you move in a certain way to where you're covered at all times. And I don't know how these officers was moving. If you're going to pick up somebody on a felony gun charge who's a felon who has a firearm he doesn't supposed to have, he's supposed to go in there where, where there's much protection. It seems like these guys weren't protected. For 8 people to be shot is ridiculous. That's unbelievable. If one man did that, that's a lot of damage by one man. But let's go on to the next clip. Murder suspect. This is right here where I stay in Las Vegas. Murder suspect accused of eating victim's face near Las Vegas Strip, near the downtown area. Now, if you're not from Vegas, there's basically 3 parts of Vegas. You have Summerlin, you have Henderson, you have North Vegas. And then you have what is the tourist spot, which is the Strip. Now, you also have downtown Vegas, which is Old Vegas, where the mobsters used to be. Now, that part kind of goes right into North Vegas. It's a lot of homelessness. It's a lot of drug abuse going on down there. And it's a lot of wacky things happening in that downtown area. And the amount of homeless people down there is ridiculous at this point. But I've covered several news clips over the years of cannibalism, morgue selling body parts, individual people busted for selling human body parts, people using body parts in their home for souvenirs, all type of shit that you would just find unbelievable is happening. Like the movie Blade, you had an outside world, if you ever seen the movie Blade, and then you have an underground world where all of this blood drinking and ritualistic shit is happening. That's real life. That's basically the world we stay in at this point. But let's take a look at this clip.
New details on an extremely grisly murder in downtown Las Vegas. We thank you for joining us here at 6. I'm Denise Valdez.
And I'm Brian Loftus. It happened yesterday morning around the area of 3rd Street in East Charleston. Ames Now investigator Kyle Payne was there first with news of this murder yesterday, and he joins us live. Kyle, with the latest.
Denise, Brian, consider yourself warned. The details of this murder here in downtown Las Vegas are disturbing, but this is the block where police say they arrested a man named Colin Check, age 31. He was arrested yesterday on open murder charges. Not in court today, Judge Rebecca Sachs said Check was in the hospital. A police report identified the victim as Kenneth Brown. And a document obtained by the 8 News.
Kenneth Brown. Now, it could be a white man, but it sounds like a white man who ate a black man. Kenneth Brown sounds like a Negro name. I think we would all agree. Could be wrong. Every once in a while, they throw you a curveball and you'd be surprised. Be like Leroy Jenkins. I would have never guessed that was a Mexican. But no, I'm just bullshit. But Kenneth Brown sound like a white man was eating on a nigga. He was really having real neck bones out there. So this is interesting. I would love to see who's who, but obviously they're not going to show that. They damn sure can't show the black dude or the alleged black man.
Investigator says Brown had a large cut to part of his head and that he was missing an eye and an ear when police found him. And neighbors yesterday.
So he didn't pop the man's eye out and then bit the man's ear off. I mean, this is some gruesome shit going on.
Amazed with what they heard.
Pretty bizarre, man. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that goes on out here, as you said, but.
Are you sure it wasn't him that did it? He looked like one of the first human beings. He looked like a damn Neanderthal. He got a members only coat with Scooby-Doo in it. Where the hell he get that jacket from? But obviously, when them people be out there in them areas like that, in the poor areas of Vegas, they see a lot of wild stuff. Because you have people come in here and lose it all, just go homeless and just stay here forever.
So certainly this takes the cake as far as just all out there-ness, you know what I mean?
It's pretty disgusting.
Yes, sir, absolutely. So I'm not sure what this person may have been going through, but yeah, something else I would say entirely.
Well, Teen Wolf, he's actually probably seen it all. He looks like, man, it looks like he turned into a damn werewolf. They might want to put a tracking device on him. He might be biting on people.
Police say Check was going in and out of consciousness while he was in police custody and told cops that something was, quote, possessing him. Here at the bus stop where police arrested Check, the scene is too bloody.
And that's interesting that he said something was possessing him. And I talk about that all the time. Like, is there such thing as demonic spirits, and people being possessed? 1,000%. 1,000%. When you don't have no godliness in you, you're doing hardcore narcotics, you all the way out there, you're taking designer drugs and shit you don't even know what it is, and you're in these different in and out of these crazy homes, and you're taking medication and you don't know the side effects. Hey man, a demonic spirit can enter these people. That's why you see a lot of court cases. Now, I've covered a lot of different news clips, and you'd be surprised how many times people say the devil made me do it and I was possessed.
Gory to show you on television. Just about as bad as those gory details in the police report, which you can read more about on our website. Reporting live in downtown Las Vegas, Kyle Payne, 8 News Now.
Kyle, thanks. Now, today at Las Vegas Justice Court, a new date for Check is set to be in court. The new date is May 1st on Wednesday. Meantime, he's being held without bail while he is in the hospital.
Very, very interesting. Do I believe that he was possessed? Yes, because that's not something that you use thinking that you're going to get off. When you say the devil made me do it, it's not like they go in and say, well, the devil made me do it, and that's going to be how I'm going to plea out or I'm going to get less time. They just telling you the truth that they feel like they was possessed by something. I ain't never seen a possession case or somebody said they was possessed and they got less time. So I'm more inclined to believe that that's true. But that doesn't mean that he's any less guilty of what he did. That's sick, it's heinous, and he deserved the full weight of the law thrown at him. There's no doubt about that. Gruesome case. Eyes and ears and shit missing. He bit a person in the head, eating on their eyeballs. I mean, that's crazy. But let's take a look at this next clip. Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, Puff Daddy, R. Kelly, Epstein. A lot of these major figures, as they get older, you start to realize the depravity that they're involved in, and the sickness that a lot of these guys have. And when they have all this money and all this power and all this access, it does something to a lot of these people. They can't handle it. They just become people who just deal in complete debauchery. And Harvey Weinstein is one of those people. Let's take a look at this clip.
Harvey Weinstein is in the hospital. The one-time media mogul is still in custody, but he's been moved to a hospital.
And I remember when they first charged Harvey Weinstein, right before they charged him, he was walking upright. As soon as they charged him, he needed a walker and everything just started falling apart. Do I believe he's in bad health? Yes, I'm pretty sure he's in bad health. Harvey Weinstein is old as dirt at this point. But it's amazing. As soon as the case hit, he needed a walker. Everything started going wrong on Harvey.
Manhattan. He was taken there Friday after his move from a state prison to a New York City jail. The 72-year-old was relocated after an appeals court on Thursday vacated his 2020 rape and sexual assault convictions. In a 4-3 ruling, the court found the trial judge incorrectly allowed testimony that was not directly related to the charges he faced. Prosecutors say...
So Harvey Weinstein is going to be able to get off, at least temporarily, with a technicality. Now, by the time you get this whole case back going and all this stuff retried, and we're going to retry it and do all these different things, Harvey Weinstein will be dead. So he gets to live his last days freed. If he doesn't, I mean, because obviously if you see him, he looks like he's in terrible health at this point. And if he can get out of jail for 6 more months, that's probably all he needs to get a little sun on his face and go out with a smile, because he know he got away with a lot. But there is a price to pay on the other side. There is some soul-snatching demons that's waiting on you as soon as you expire. But, you know, he'll still get to live his last days, obviously out of jail. By the time they get this stuff retried and all that, if he can, you know, somehow bond out or bail out or get out of jail for a while, that's like a get out of jail free card for a while for him, because he doesn't have much time.
Plan to retry him.
I feel overturning Harvey Weinstein's conviction was a terrible decision that sends an extremely disheartening message to victims of sexual assault everywhere. I will consider testifying again, should there be another trial.
Weinstein remains in custody from a 2022 rape conviction in California. His lawyer says he is receiving tests at the hospital and that he needs, quote, a lot of help physically. Weinstein has been dealing with cardiac issues, diabetes, sleep apnea, and eye problems.
So he basically got all the diseases. I mean, anything he don't have. But they said he's still in custody, so I don't know. If he's able to weasel his way out for at least 6 to 9 months, that'll be good enough for him to see his last days free. I guarantee you, if he get out and he's free for 9 months, he's going to die before he get back, before he let himself go back in there. Let's take a look at this. Former NSA worker gets nearly 22 years in prison for selling secrets. Now, National Security Agency. Now, a lot of times when these type of people are selling secrets, the federal government or these, like the FBI or the CIA, the NSA, the whatever other black group that's in America. When I say black, I just mean like secret group, a government group that is watching people or secrets are being sold. They already know. They don't mind you selling the secrets and then watching the people who you're selling it to, and then watching them and watching you and seeing who's all involved in creating this huge ring and getting more information. They do that a lot. Like they might infiltrate a white supremacist group, and you might think it might be 4 leaders in the group, and 2 of the leaders are part of the federal government. Same happens in black groups, where it be black Muslims or Black Panthers. It doesn't matter. Any major group in America that's doing something illegal, the government will find out. There's no way around it. I remember I did I covered a clip on the Chinese had their own police department here. And the police department, the United States knew from the time they got here, the whole time they were here, that they had a secret police department here in New York City in America, and they just watched them. The only reason they had to eventually pop it because they were threatening to, they was actually about to do some harm to somebody, so they had to, you know, come on out with it. But they like to watch that. They want to know who's all involved, who's doing what, who's in communication. They want to know all that, so they'll let you run that shit for years sometime. But let's take a look at this clip.
Veteran from Colorado Springs and former National Security Agency employee was sentenced to nearly 22 years in prison today. Prosecutors say he attempted to sell U.S. secrets to a Russian agent. Jared Dahlke pleaded guilty in 2023 to 6 counts of attempting to transmit classified national defense information to an agent in the...
Let me say this too. When you go to send that shit now, and if it's not sent to the right place, see, it used to be it was a bunch of paper trails and paperwork and all this shit that you would have to get thumb driving. Now you have artificial intelligence and algorithms, and anything happens out of place, it automatically sets off alarms and sets off things within the program that lets them know that, hey, you're doing something you ain't supposed to be doing. You're looking up files you're not supposed to be looking up. You're sending an email to a place you're not supposed to be sending. They don't even have to check that no more. It automatically checks itself through the algorithms that they're using in artificial intelligence. This shit then got too powerful. So he was busted before this shit even happened. As soon as he thought about that shit, he was cooked. Because honestly, when you work at these type of jobs, they do a psychological evaluation. So if sometimes they might hire a motherfucker and say, well, psychological evaluation said there's a 40% chance he might turn. So let's keep an extra eye on him. Just in the psych evaluation. You know what I mean? There's going to be a percentage. Nobody's 100%. So they're going to give you a psych evaluation. So if your shit's 60, they might still hire you. That 60, you might work your whole career and be cool. But obviously, they're going to watch these people. Like I said, he was busted before he even probably did this shit.
Russian agent Jared Dahlke pleaded guilty in 2023 to 6 counts of attempting to transmit classified national defense information to an agent in the Russian Federation. That agent was actually an undercover FBI agent.
Unbelievable. He was actually an undercover FBI agent already. So like I said before, they knew that before that even happened. Undercover FBI agent. Here one more time.
6 counts of attempting to transmit classified national defense information to an agent in the Russian Federation. That agent was actually an undercover FBI agent. Some of the documents were labeled secret level and top secret. As part of his plea agreement, Dahlke admitted he transmitted files to the FBI online.
And let me say this, the stuff he wasn't even real. He got popped, tricked, by sending false information that he thought was real information to a Russian federal agent who turned out to be an FBI agent. So, like I said before, the FBI is everywhere. See, they everywhere. They know everything. You can't hide nothing from the people at this point.
With the intent and reason to believe that information would be used to injure the United States and to benefit Russia.
So, yeah, they didn't mind him sending that stuff for a little while. And they realized this guy's an idiot, and they just went on ahead and popped him and got rid of him. Yeah. Let's take a look at this. Israel-Hamas war ceasefire and the release of hostages negotiation. Obviously, this war has been going on for several months now. I think it's I want to say 8 months at this point. It's creeping around to a year. Israel they've hammered Palestine. They have made it to where that place is no longer even livable, especially in northern Gaza. That place is basically inhabitable. You have the other side of Israel, I think it's like southern Gaza, where all the refugees have gone. Now they talking about bombing that, and the United States know that they can't let that shit happen because they already have the ICC, the International Criminal Court, has already found them guilty of war crimes. So it's like they don't even want them doing that because it's all the refugees there. Is Hamas there? Of course, but how many innocent civilians do you have to kill one Hamas? I would say you have to kill 15, 20 civilians to get one Hamas warrior. So at that point, it's not making no sense. You've already killed, I don't know, I think it's somewhere around 40, 50,000 civilians at this point. A lot of babies and women and old people. So, at this point, this war, a ceasefire has to happen here eventually because Israel has done an extreme amount of damage. Take a look at the clip.
To the latest in the Israel-Hamas war, negotiations continue for a potential ceasefire in the war and also the release of hostages.
TV's Jessica Moore is here with more. Jessica.
Dick and Christine, Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in the Middle East tonight, meeting with leaders from Jordan, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. Earlier today, he urged Hamas to accept the terms of a 40-day ceasefire deal, which would see as many as 33 hostages released in exchange for thousands of Palestinian prisoners. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Saudi Arabia, meeting with U.S. partners in the region as Israeli allies around the world continue to push for a ceasefire in Gaza.
Hamas has before it a proposal that is extraordinarily generous on the part of Israel. And in this moment, the only thing.
And like I said before, in this war, obviously anytime you have war, there's always going to be war crimes. There's because war is so brutal, so ugly. If you see one of your friends get blown to smithereens, you want revenge. You want to serve your form of justice. You damn about the international courts. You don't care about none of that. So that happens. America, they went through that several times in Vietnam. They went through that in Iraq the first time when they had the Gulf War. We went through that the second time we went to Afghanistan and then went to Iraq. With Saddam and taking out Saddam and bin Laden and all those people we were trying to remove, there's always going to be war crimes because people just can't handle their friend, their comrade being blown to smithereens. And when you get your hands on one of these people who you think, well, sometimes you get your hands on the person who's personally responsible for that. And how you going to treat him? I mean, you're not going to give his ass some hummus and some Bible bread. Yeah, you're going to do some harm to him. There's no doubt about that.
Standing between the people of Gaza and a ceasefire is Hamas.
The talks come days after Hamas released a series of propaganda videos showing 3 hostages, including an American citizen, alive somewhere in Gaza. Blinken says the U.S. cannot support an Israeli invasion of Rafah, where roughly 1.4 million displaced Palestinians have taken shelter.
We have not yet seen a plan.
Because, yeah, you would have to bomb people wide open that just pure civilians. So would Israel do it? Absolutely they would. But the world is against that at this point. Even within this country, there's so many universities where there is Palestinian protest across the country, where people are setting up shop, they blocking roads, they doing everything that they can do. If I was Palestinian, would I do it? Absolutely. But I'm not. I'm a Negro, so it's kind of like hold your own. But I do understand if you're from Israel, how would you feel? You want to feel like, hey, we're gonna hammer these people into submission. We're gonna push them out of here, and we're gonna take everything we want. Basically, that's pretty much what it is at this point. Am I on the side of right or wrong? This the way of the world. It was a time these people who are in Palestine, they ain't always been in Palestine. These people are people who left over from the Ottoman Empire. So they pushed people out of there. It used to be black people that was in that part of the land. They pushed those people out of that part of the land hundreds of years ago. So, I mean, it is what it is. Right is right and wrong is wrong, but sometime in war, the lines are blurred.
It gives us confidence that civilians can be effectively protected.
Over the weekend, children in Rafah smiled beside this sign, thanking college students in the U.S. for protesting on their behalf. But not everyone is pleased with the ongoing pro-Palestinian demonstrations overtaking college campuses. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott McFarland says lawmakers on both sides say more needs to be done to keep Jewish students safe.
As these protests grow in size and in quantity, there are real political ramifications. One noteworthy piece from today, New Jersey Congressman Josh Gottheimer from Northern Jersey joined a group of Democrats calling on the board at Columbia to be more proactive, to do more to stop the encampments and the disruptions at Columbia.
World Central Kitchen also resumed operations in Gaza today after 7 of its workers were killed in Israeli airstrikes on April 1st. The U.S.-based aid organization says caring for displaced Palestinian civilians remains its top priority. Christina Dick.
All right, Jessica, thank you.
Well, this war is carrying on and carrying on. Israel's in the tough position. Would Israel mind a ceasefire? Absolutely not. Because you have to realize, even though they don't cover it on the news, Israel, they've suffered a lot of losses. And they're using a lot of their military stockpile whether it be these missiles attack from Iran, the missile attack from Hezbollah that comes from Syria. They had to, those missiles that they use, which is called the Iron Dome, to shoot missiles out of the sky. Man, them missiles are expensive. You got somebody shooting a missile that might cost $50,000 to make, and you happen to shoot missiles that cost millions. So one missile that cost $1 million to a missile that's cost 50, mathematically, eventually, something's got to shake. There's going to be a tipping point. There's no doubt about that when it comes to finances. And Israel is taking a financial beating right now because it's not like they're invading Gaza and they just struck oil. Yeah, and they just didn't got a bunch of resources. No, not yet anyway. So, yeah, they're taking a lot of losses financially. So they would love a ceasefire as much as Hamas would. So let's take a look at this. One